pass your colleagues over there.
Yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. You are coming to a very special type of meeting, and that means it's not so important that you have ears and eyes. Now it's important that you have a mouth and that you can talk. This is important. You know what a jam session is, I hope? A jam session is something where you really contribute with what you can do. So the classical orchestra is playing what the composer is writing, and the conductor is doing it, and as the ESA Director General I should be the conductor, but now we are in a different mode. And this is a jam session, meaning I need your input into everything. To stimulate you a little bit, I will give you first a presentation a little bit, and then we will start this jam session. And therefore, as you are sitting here, that's already fine. I would like all of you also to change the seats in a different order. That might not work. And I don't like, you see, I'm a university professor, I accept that people are sitting always in the last rows. And I also accept if the ones in the first row leave after 1 hour or half an hour or 10 minutes or sleeping or whatever. That's for a university very common. So, but I would like really come in front if you want to be something in the future. If your future is already gone, stay there. But here in the first rows you can influence your future. That's the reason. Now I will do something with you, and I hope all of you have some mobile device with you, at least many of you. I will come back to that again, but just that you are prepared. You don't have to prepare it right now, but if you don't know how to go to Wi-Fi, I hope you have a neighbor helping you. So we need you afterwards, not now. Afterwards, you should go into this. You cannot put something in now because you don't know the game pin. So anyhow, it will not work right now. But later on, hopefully, usually this who is doing it with me is there, but she is not here, so I have to do it myself. And I may fail. Failure is just a data point in my life, so therefore it doesn't matter. So now we are discussing about exploration, of course about next destinations, and there are people thinking about Mars is the ultimate goal. My personal opinion is Mars is not the ultimate goal, but it's an interesting point in the journey of humankind. There are even better places for the future. And the next interesting point from here is over here, you see over there. It's just 39 light years away. Maybe we have better transportation means in the future. Today we do not have a solution for that, but over there are some planets which look like that it might be interesting to go there even and stay there also for a couple of weeks, months, years. Like this habitable zone we named it. Now, I'm always talking about that exploration is not just for exploration, but exploration is for society. And this is a very good example where the society reacted on the discovery of this TRAPPIST system. I don't know whether you ever saw it, but I like it so much that I will give it. It's not science, it is not technology, it is not engineering, it is not math, it is music. There was a guy, or girl, I don't know, taking the rotations of these satellites around its sun and making some music out of it. And I hope it works. So the first satellite. The second satellite. And you see it's just multiplying the frequency by 212 million, nothing more than that. So it sounds like music. And in fact, the only thing which was done, again, the frequency was multiplied by 212 million. Why I'm saying this is because we should not only do exploration because of the space guys. The society is interested in that, and we made very many checks with that. And of course also movies like Interstellar had a big interest in the public. Unfortunately, we do not have this transportation means today. Of course, FAA is ready to work on that, but we do not have it. And therefore, we should think about what is the next destination we really can do. And when I say we really can do, of course, we can go with robots far beyond this place. I mean, Voyager is already leaving our solar system. But if we are also considering humans, the question is how far can we go? And of course, the Mars will be the next destination after the Moon. And I say this with very clear words because what I heard in the last couple of days when I was talking about Moon Village and NASA was talking about the Deep Space Gateway, is that not in conflict with each other? No, it is not at all. It is really a typical case where global cooperation comes to something more than just 1 + 1 is 2. Because the Global Village idea, and I will come back to that in a minute, and the Deep Space Gateway, they depend on each other in a certain way, because if you go with the Deep Space Gateway first, cislunar, close to the Moon, you have to do something over there, otherwise it's without any meaning. Just to go there and say, maybe we go further later on, is not sufficient. So therefore, Mars is a destination, but the question is when and how. If we consider the Earth, the Moon and the Mars, it's very clear to go to the Moon and back. You can do it during summer vacation, no problem. And if you have an issue after some days, you just go around the Moon and you're back, Apollo 13. If you go to Mars, then you have an issue. It takes 2 years approximately. Some people are saying 1,000 days, so different calculation, but something like that, not only the travel, but also because of the different orbits. And then you have the issue, if you want to land on Mars, then you need, of course, a rocket to take off again. You have to consider safety, security, especially also the radiation, health issues. If you have after 3 days, or let's say after 1 month, a serious illness, you cannot just go back. You have an issue. I mean, smaller surgery you can do by yourself, but bigger ones, heart transplantation, I would not recommend to do it yourself. So, therefore, there are a lot of issues, and I'm, again, not to be misunderstood, because I'm always misunderstood. I'm not talking against Mars. I'm talking in favor of Mars. But in order to go to a location like Mars, you should be better prepared to go there. This is what I'm saying. Therefore, I will repeat this several times. So the Moon is a very nice place, and therefore the question is how to go there. In the past, it was in the 60s, it was a competition between Soviet Union and United States of America, and we are very happy, and we should be happy that we are out of this race in space. I read in a newspaper at the beginning of this week, now Australia with its space agencies is part of the race in space. I hope it's not. I hope it's not. I hope that we are really working together in the future, worldwide, borderless. If you look from space to the Earth, you do not see any border. It's always said to see the Chinese wall. The Chinese wall is not a border. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but it's not a border anyhow. Therefore, if this is the vision to have no border, when you look from space to Earth, then we should also work on this and not putting new borders into space and say, okay, we take this part for United States of America, this part for China, this part for Europe, and so on. Let's be really visionary enough to say the Moon is an excellent place where different actors would like to go. Whether they would like to go there as an institution, as a private company, as a public entity, or whatever. Let's join forces, let's think about who can bring what, and then we are again better than 1 + 1 is just 2, then we are beyond it. And therefore, that is what is called Moon Village. It is not, and I repeat this always, it is not a certain project or a certain mission. It is an overarching, and I call it an open concept for cooperation. Therefore, what the most important sentence is, or it's not even a sentence, a keyword, free and open access, not over-regulating this situation. So it's not a project, It's an open concept. This is the message which I would always like to stress. You see, we have in ESA, we have of course all the different types of things. We are now adding through new methods how to do space, and the Moon Village is an open concept where ESA itself is also just a partner, an enabler. Maybe it's a broker for different activities, bringing the different activities together. And I repeat to the people in the back of this room, if you really want to change your life in the future, then come to here. If you're just saying, I'm a follower, then stay where you are. So anyhow, come in front. It's better for you and better for me. It was interesting that this, just as an open concept, got some attention worldwide. So for instance, here in CNN, very nice. It is also that we had together with the FAA, with the advisory group, very happy that you are here, George. We had some discussion, and the FAA endorsed the Moon Village concept, which I think was an important step. There is also some drawings already. People are coming to me and trying to give me a full plan, where to do what, and where to put the energy, and where to put this and that. Again, this is not the way I'm thinking. That's a problem. I'm always saying, no, thank you very much for the idea, but I'm thinking a little bit differently. But some things just as a point. So moon science is interesting, technology development is interesting, preparing for travels into the universe, also using the material which you can find over there. So far, whenever we did a mission to a celestial body, we took all the stuff with us, we even left it partly there and went back. In the future, I think it's clear that we should use also the material over there. So for instance, using regolith and building on the far side of the moon a radio telescope to have a better view into the solar system and beyond. And of course, I was not surprised that from the American part, immediately a highway construction came up. But I hope they will not have the speed limit as in the US. They should take, in that case, and also the German solution. No over-regulation for the roads. A Scandinavian company said, okay, we understood Moon Village, we have to have some houses. Okay, it's not exactly what I'm talking about. The Moon Village is not just some single houses, a church and a city hall, and maybe a special hall for the Lord Mayor. Again, it is not a defined structure. It is not defining also whether robots or humans are the first one. But it's interesting that now, I mean, again, the Americans, Jeff Peppers, I like him, he says immediately a city on the moon. I was not surprised, so we are a little bit more modest from the European part. We said a village is enough, but okay, Jeff is saying city on the moon, but anyhow, it's the same idea. It comes together, and therefore it's important. And also Elon Musk said, fly me to the moon, and he will fly. He said he will send some tourists around the moon late next year. So there is, as we see, the moon is really in everybody's discussion, also on the Chinese side, the Japanese side, on the Russian side. There are a lot of missions. And the Moon Village idea you could also see as, let's really a little bit coordinate these various activities. The first man on the moon, the two ones, Neil Armstrong, this is by the way not the first one, it's clear because the rover came later, I know this is, but just say there was the first man on the moon, and when they landed on the moon they had these nice sign over here and saying, we came in peace for all mankind. And my trick is a little bit, the next one was with the first villager on the moon, and then we will say, we will come back with all mankind. So it's again an international aspect, and not only to go there for the internationality and international community, but really to go as the international community. You all got now, and not all of you, but many of you got this Moon Village Declaration of Interest, which is a very open, again, typical for the open concept, it's a very open document. It's not binding you to pay immediately. Not immediately. No, not at all. And here are just the main things to consider that the Moon Village is something we would like to do. To embrace the Moon Village as an objective, to endeavor as an open platform, again, open platform, to seek cooperation with other entities worldwide, to be willing to share plans and ideas. This is necessary. And if you want to send your agreement with the declaration, not directly by signing today, so you can send us an email under moonvillage@esa.int, then we will be in contact with you to realize it. Now it's time for the Kahoot. So now I ask all of you to try with your mobile phone, whatever you have, a phone or mobile or a laptop, to go into and just you go to Kahoot. And while you are doing that, it's very simple, kahoot.it. I will try to switch my computer to go there, which is always a challenge. But hopefully I can get it. Now I have to go here. I hope it works. Yes. So, that's always a moment in which the system either works or does not work. So you will now get, as the next step, you will get, hopefully if everything works, you will get the PIN number and all of this. Okay. Now you can reduce the, okay, so you should put the pin in and you can of course invent a name, but if all of you say Moon, I can tell you it's not the best name. So you should use different names. Can you reduce the loudspeakers even more? So, and we will see what happens. So we have now 35, 40, 50, 60. We have to wait to have a little bit stable situation. Moon with more O is also okay. Swiss cheese I saw, it's also a nice one. Was Aldrin here? No, he contacted me before, but this is not a joke. Okay. Okay, Astromanda. Okay, so it's a good number already. 241. So now I explain you the next part of the game already. Now you will get questions. And the questions have always 4 different possibilities to answer. And you have a very limited time to answer. So be prepared to immediately react and say, okay, A, B, C, or D, okay? I think we added, I hope we did a dummy question. Swiss cheese I saw twice, interesting. But different spelling, one with 3E and one only with 2E. Okay. Jeff Who is also good. No, Finland is not real. That's already better than all the rest of the show, eh? Mars City Design, Moonwalker. Okay. How long should I wait until it's stable? Should I tell a joke or what? No. Okay, 200. misspelling, I can tell you. But it's okay. Werner with R, not with H, but it's okay. Okay, I will start now. If somebody joins later, it doesn't matter. So, and always try to answer the question immediately as you think this is my answer, okay? So, 4 questions. Where are you from? Think about Earth, solar system, on average 384,000 kilometers from the Moon, or Milky Way. Just decide one. Because you have, on the left hand side you see the number, you have 16 seconds time. You are fast, that's good, you are fast. It depends on the age of the, sometimes we have to put 1 minute and still they don't find the right point, okay? We have, nearly 300 answers. Time up, and here's the result. Earth. By the way, the other three were correct as well. 384 kilometers far from the moon, that's here, that's the Earth. Solar system as well. But now you know how the game goes. Now the real question comes. And I hope that is. So, what do you think is the best development of space agencies? Not the question, what is the situation? What would you like to see? National agencies for a continent, an alliance of space agencies, or one global space agency? I put this question always, and it depends on age and nationality what the answer is. So I'm interested what happens over here. Again, you are fast enough to get a stable result. And the result is, you see, it is 133 saying a global space agency, 142 is an alliance of space agencies. I can tell you this is so far the worst result for a global space agency, the worst. We were usually between 70 and 90% for, and here it's less than 50%, maybe 40% or something like that. Okay, you are not that international as I hoped. Okay, now the next question, and there is a slight difference. Which development of space agencies do you see most probable? So that means not your intention, but what do you think what will happen? The same possibilities. But now you have to think, how stupid are these old guys like me? What are they ready to do? To give up their job or not? Oh, more than 300, that's good. And the results are, yeah, alliance. That's the maximum you can expect from us. You're right. Okay. Next question. Moon Village, are you interested to join? Yes, maybe, no, I don't know. That's the reason we know your name now, and the IP address, so everything is fine. Very good, thank you very much. That's a good success. Okay, this was the Kahoot. Now we go to the jam itself. I hope I can, I have no idea how this works, but I hope leave this space is good. I hope we now go here, and I hope it goes if I just start it again. It looks, it works. Yeah. So now we come to this part which I call really a jam session. We have here a blue box. This blue box is not only blue, it is a microphone. So, and what I would like you, not only like in the school, there is a teacher, I have to say something to the teacher. I would like to have interactions between you. And we will try to write down the aspects we would like to see also, which we have to follow up. So you see here, these are just a few possible areas which you would like to discuss, where you say, I have a comment. You can have also comments to totally different areas. Try to make a comment, your opinion. That was the reason I told you, not just using your ears and raising questions. You can raise questions, of course, but I would like even more to hear something that you say, okay, I have an idea who should be the broker. Should it be a public entity or a private entity? Who is a little bit the coordinator, or do we not need any coordinator? What about, for instance, what could be possible threats? I had yesterday a discussion, and they said, what about military actions on the moon? Is that a restriction we should really totally neglect, or do we have to do something? I see some legal people over here, Marco. Is there any legal thing we have to consider? Whatever, if you have totally different things to mention, then do this. And I wait now for the first raising hand so that I can throw And now you know why.
Yeah, in case it doesn't work, we have a microphone over here.
Oh,
because you
that
can't
is not
touch them
good.
all the way here.
Philip, I wanted to have them all here. I just want to say now you know why it's bad that you are sitting here. Okay, this is my stuff. They always have helping everybody.
I can try to bring them down.
No, it's fine, Philip. So, who starts? Who has a comment? Who has a question? I will throw it to you and you throw it further.
Thanks. Stuart Minchin from Geoscience Australia. Something we can learn from here is the Antarctic Treaty System, where we cooperate in Antarctica, we ensure that no countries have an absolute claim, and we work together to protect the environment. So we should look at that as an option for realising the Moon Village.
What I understood is to consider also to protect the moon from the very beginning. Is that what you say? As you did with the Antarctica.
But also not allowing countries to have their own.
Yes. And now you have to look to him so that he can throw it to you.
This one?
The black one. Yeah. Usually people are always doing blah blah blah. That's what people like most.
Howdy. Right. So, if you're talking about villages, it's generally like a small group of people that are similar. And one of the main similarities from a village would be communications. So how would you go about making sure that communications is not a factor in having any problems there? Because one of the biggest things between international communications is communication, and like as far as language goes, like the language barrier. So would you want to have one language, or would you want to have a lot of translators? Like how would you address this situation?
I'm sure that there is an answer, not from me, but from somebody of you. Maybe Canada can answer that question. I thought Jeff, you would do it.
I mean, I was working on the HJC working group, and we are from a lot of different countries, and we all speak English perfectly in our age right now. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. So we are
the most common language, broken English. That works always.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm catching someone here.
Please do it. Catch him or her.
Sorry.
You go first.
Please go.
Okay. Now I'm 16 and I've come here
lucky one.
I'm 16 and I've come here to learn about what opportunities there are in space for people outside the STEM field, honestly. Because I'm not in the STEM field, I'm here with media, and well, what opportunities would there be in a moon village for people outside the STEM field?
Yeah, I have of course an answer, but the way of the jump station is that you should try to find an answer in between. There is an answer, you see.
From my perspective, I think it will be up to you to invent these opportunities. The Moon Village is open to everybody in terms of objective, missions, business, and so on. So if the media have some good ideas or entertainment company good ideas of something to be done on the Moon Village, it's up to you to invent. The STEM people will provide you only the means to go there. When you are there, you do what you would like.
Yeah, and just to mention, therefore, where was the question? Can you raise your hand that I see you?
Here, on the left.
Okay, were you at the beginning when I had my presentation with this case of TRAPPIST-1? You see, that is already the music, a musician took it and made something out of it for communication, and I'm quite sure that for each and everyone, psychologists, for instance, they are not science, technology, engineering, math. Psychologists is necessary also for trips if you want to stay, for instance. If you want to stay on the moon for 1 month, you have a rather long time in the darkness. I'm not talking about settlements on the moon for astronauts, that's not what I'm saying. But if you want to stay, if you want to give the opportunity, and this may come back to the Antarctica where we also have similar situations, then it's dark for a long period. So psychologists might be interested, doctors, of course you need doctors over there, and so on. So I think, but also artists, etc. For for the media people, the first line is already important, because how to communicate to the public this idea. This is a point where I need, for instance, very concrete help right now. So here, over here, throw it to this lady, yeah.
Good throw.
Yeah, we are insured for any.
I think we are. I think we are at the time where each person like to express their idea. So the way to invite them being engaged is possibly to let them understand that they can create their own moon. Like Mars has 2 moons, why should we only have 1 moon? Maybe your moon idea will create so many different moons that it will excite a lot of people, especially the young ones, that they are able to create different ideas and invite others. Like, what if we can recycle all this space junk and becomes another waste moon? That's just a concrete example, but metaphorically, the concept of each person having their own moon may be able to attract the young people.
Yeah, the only thing which I mean, the idea to make out of the junk something positive, I like it very much. The only thing what I don't like, that we have then for each and every nation 1 moon, because they don't want to interact with others. That would destroy totally my idea of international cooperation and interaction. So I think the beauty is to have a place which is outside our Earth, without the national borders, and to go together. Anyhow, your idea to do something also with space junk, something positive, is a good one, from my perspective. But I want to be, I have to be, and you have to remind me, Christina, and also Philip, I should be quiet. That was the idea. It's not possible with me.
Yeah, no, I'm in the far side here of the moon. I would like to ask Tammy to put her question. So I don't know if you hear me, but I hear you.
But I can see you.
Okay, here's Tammy.
Hello. I'm just wondering, there's a lot of people that rely on pharmaceuticals, and if they would stay a long time on the moon, what do you see, whether there be a company to develop those things or be transported to the moon on a regular basis?
You mean a pharmaceutical company on the moon?
That, or whether or not their medicines would be available, transported regularly?
Somebody will for sure answer, but I will repeat just that I'm not looking for a permanent colonization or leaving of the Earth to go to the moon and to stay there, because you have to stay there in more or less in a can. And I think our Earth is too beautiful to stay in a can for life. But of course, if people stay there for, let's say, a month or 2 months or 3 months already, then it might be important to have some medical things, because you cannot go back, even from the moon, you cannot go back as fast as you can do it from the International Space Station. From the station it takes hours, from the moon it takes days. So therefore your question is a very, very important one. Maybe somebody can answer, so who is here to build a small hospital or pharmaceutical company on the moon? But again, it's outside STEM, and it's a good idea.
Another outside STEM. The moon is heritage. The moon looks beautiful from Earth, and it will have to continue looking beautiful from Earth, and that will have to be considered from day 1 of any development on the moon.
So this is the environmental aspect also from an aesthetical point of view. Thank you for that. Yeah, go ahead. I don't have to say yes and yes. Philip will take care over there, and we will hear him when he is interfering. You go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I would like a really big performance of the dark side of the moon on the dark side of the moon.
So, somebody here who can sing the song from Pink Floyd? And I'm ready.
Yes, I'm not actually here to sing the song, but I do have a couple of questions and the comments based on part of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. I do believe that there will be unparalleled opportunity for new things, but also existing things to be there in a different form, basically being on the moon. There's going to be needs for nearly every employment and job that there is now, but there would be new things as well. Low gravity entertainment, maybe sports that couldn't exist on Earth here, but in a way over there, you know, with that much less gravity.
Yeah.
But there'll still be things, people will want to have pets maybe, veterinarians in space, whatnot. Anything that will be done here, there will be the opportunities to do that and more.
You see, I tried it already. Yeah? I was more or less on the moon. And if you have problems like this, if you do it on moon, it's much easier. I did it in a parabolic flight, and it's much easier. So it's good.
All right. I have a question. What will be the integration of blockchain technology on Moon in terms of like, Moon establishment, Moon Village establishment?
Geoff, I did not understand the question. You can answer it.
Okay.
No, you don't have to repeat it. If somebody understood it, it's not necessary that I understood it.
Do you guys understand it, or questions? Questions to my questions?
So who is ready to answer? Here, in the first row. Throw it.
Hi. Okay, so in terms of blockchain technologies, at the moment there are a lot of applications, but the major one is cryptocurrencies. So eventually, if we do establish a sort of more permanent human presence on the moon, there will have to be some sort of economy, and the economy will probably require a currency of some sort. And I think we're moving away from the concept of paper and coin money to digital transactions. So the Bitcoin technologies in the form of cryptocurrency would probably be useful in that regard.
Why are you, as young people, so conservative?
Because getting stuff to the moon is, it's weight, it costs money. So why would we want to spend money to take money to space?
Yeah, I found a musician here.
Okay, let him sing. Oh. That's my world. Good.
So I was just going to say, I guess the conservative point is like, why have money? If we're going to be a global group working on the moon, why do people have to pay for stuff? Can't we just share stuff? My other question is, at the moment, the entry, it's really hard to become an astronaut, right? The barrier to entry is really high. Like, I'm colorblind, I'll never be able to fly a plane, I'll never be able to be an astronaut. I hope that those sorts of barriers...
I saw the Apollo was, everything was black and white on it. Go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead, no, please.
No, just that's my question. Like, if we have a permanent moon settlement, will we, or semi-permanent?
I can tell you a story about that. I mean, people are saying in English very often then handicapped, using this word of handicapped if something is not as we call it normal. I don't use that expression. I use challenged. You have, with color blindness, you might have a special possibility to see things differently to others, which might be a special power. So what we did is, with a parabolic flight, we asked physically challenged people, so paralyzed from here back downwards, to take part in a parabolic flight. And I can tell you, it was for them a very special experience to see that they are not excluded. And of course we do not have to exclude. We can use their special possibilities, their special capabilities. And I'm sure that also a colorblind person, if it's extreme or whatever or not, has some special capability, especially in this respect. But anyhow, we should not exclude people just because of any diverse from the normal, whatever normal is. I mean, what is age normal? Eh? It's not possible to give a normal age. So therefore, don't be afraid in that sense. Be open. Don't be conservative. Be open. That's my clear word to that.
Isn't it to have the moon as a stepping stone rather than a major village, just turn it into an airport?
Who is answering? No answer. Here's the answer first, and then you get back.
So there's no air on the moon, so it has to be a spaceport.
And of course it might make sense also if you want to go to the far side, not only to the dark side, but to the far side and the near side, and that you have also maybe something where you can move not only with rover. By the way, coming back to the question of the space junk, it makes sense to use the rovers which are still there. Huh? So we do not have to go to our orbit. We have enough junk already on the moon. Surveyor is still there. The lower parts of the Apollo missions are there. The rovers are there. So from Smart 1 we have a small crater from the Europeans. So there is enough what can be used again.
Sorry, just as a response to the previous questions of why can't we share everything. Okay, it's a while ago, but you know, the mic takes time to travel up here.
I have just a comment about the colorblind issue. In the First World War, my grandfather fought, and he was colorblind. And the way he contributed to the outcome was he was flown in an aeroplane, and he looked down on the ground, and because he was colorblind, he wasn't confused by the camouflage that the enemy was using. He just saw text.
We were the enemy, I have to say.
So anybody who's trying to hide on the moon is going to want your skills in order to pick them up. And one other point regarding the proposal that some of us found, I guess, here. What is made mention of is a legal and statutory framework that I think will be important for us all to share as we begin to think about forming a village and making a community and all becoming contributing elements to it in this cooperative effort. So I think a shared legal framework to which all participants agree will be an important part of it.
Right, so it's just as a continuation. The thing is, there still needs to be someone to cover the cost of manufacturing all these goods that are going to be transported from the Earth to the Moon, or just produced on the Moon straight up. So I suppose you could just pay some sort of equivalent of tax, but that's just my 2 cents on the issue.
Okay, I will tell you my understanding of that. It is an open concept. If somebody wants to go there, he or she or it goes on its own payment. And we have already companies saying, we are offering transport capabilities. So if you want to fly, you just have to, you can call me. If you don't know the company, I can make the contact. I have the contact. You can fly to the moon already. Of course, then you have to pay for that. But if you have your own possibility to go there, this is again, it is a little bit, and that's my problem, it is a little bit revolutionary, and I hope that the young generation and the old ones who are still young in brain think about it and do it. Just do it. Don't ask for a legal situation coming from the state to pay for it or whatever. That would destroy and by the way, then it would be also in competition with other missions. It should be open. I totally understand that we need some legal constraints, some restrictions, but not a full Bible of restrictions. So the environmental aspect, and also that there should be no fence, and of course no radioactive waste from the very first day, so that we have another problem. But concerning the financing, I would not ask for public money at an instance. The public agencies will go to the moon again, as we know. China is going, Europe is going, Russia is going. So there is already science-driven activity. But if there's a company which wants to make mining or tourism in the future, why not?
Yeah, that's kind of easy to say, but the truth is like, our history tells us that we need a political commitment to be able to have such an endeavor making it happen. Because even just launching a small rocket just to play in high school or in university, you need to ask permission to your regulatory airspace, whatever. So I cannot think like we can just launch something to the moon on our own just because we're young. We'll be intercepted by missiles or whatever. I don't know. But so I would recommend, why are you doing this type of jam sessions, or call it whatever, also with politicians, because we need this political commitment, this sharing of, okay, we need to do something like this and how we do it between politicians. And I say heads of space agencies are the politicians that you can help lobby for this crowd. So is this happening, or is just being done in this crowd, which we all are ready to do this, but
of course I'm much older than you, of course. But still I would never say we never did it that way, therefore we cannot do it like that. And that might be the important thing. So never look just to the past, because for me, and I quote Albert Einstein, the future is much more interesting because I intend to live in here. And therefore try to be disruptive. And don't say, okay, because it didn't work in the past, it will not work in the future. It is working because we know that private companies are already doing it. We know that together with NASA, the European Space Agency is planning to go around the moon. It's already, it's a fact. It's not any longer any vision. And if you have a good payload here or there, you can participate. You do not have to have your own Ariane 7 launcher, which even we do not have. We start still at Ariane 5. But so you can do it on your own. It is possible. Of course, you need some money. Maybe you have to work to find somebody paying for your payload. Maybe it is a public entity because you have a nice idea for some science, or maybe it's a private company because they believe they can get out of that some return of investment. But I will not apply, send a proposal to my member states, now 2 billion euros in the next 10 years for building the moon village. That would destroy the whole idea. So therefore I will do it really by heart. I will not do it. Not only just, I have no idea, I will not do it. I think it's possible. You can make it possible.
Can I make a comment up here on the legal side of things?
Okay.
So I'm a bit of a dreamer. I did answer global to what kind of space agency I would love to see. I'd love to see the entire world work together on this. But we've seen in the last 50 years that we've moved away from an age of treaties into an age of national legislation. How do you get the entire world to agree to how this is going to work?
Not by another legal aspect. By change of culture. And my hope is with the young generation and with the space enthusiasts that this time we can really do it. I totally, unfortunately, have to agree with what you are saying, because it's also my experience, but I don't want to be stopped by my experience. I want to be proactive for the future. So therefore, if the idea, you said the majority said the idea is good, then I have now hundreds of ambassadors for the Moon Village idea. So that's good. We are together.
How do we make sure the Moon Village is for everyone and not just people from developed nations? Especially if people are paying to get there from their own money.
Exactly.
How do we make it for everyone?
You understood it, fine. So it's not a question, it was, I hope it was a comment.
But if people are paying to go there by themselves, how do we make sure it's for everyone, including people from countries where they might not be able to afford to pay to go there themselves?
I am sure there is no country in the world, not one, and you can name it, which is not able to produce something for scientific investigation or for whatever. All of the countries in the world have some technology, so there is no barrier. Of course, the barrier is right now, I mean, look to ESA. We have 22 member states, and of course not all of them have budgets which allow them to have their own launcher or to have their own satellite or whatever. Sometimes we are doing missions where the participation of one country is in the range of 1 or 2%, so very small contribution. But then it's said, made in, and then they can fly. And this is the idea which should work on a global scale. And again, I do not see one single state worldwide, if they want, that they are not able to do it. Of course, not the big thing, but therefore working together as partners, that's the solution.
Yeah, I would like to make a comment on the application side.
Yes.
We also had a recommendation in our Moon Village SGC working group concerning the installation of infrastructure on the Moon to foster all these activities. And one colleague just mentioned, for example, this blockchain technology is not only useful for cryptocurrency, it could be a very good system to democratically store data, distribute data, and have free access for everyone, which is in line of the Moon Village idea. So this could be a very good technology to implement a system like that on the Moon.
And who has to implement it according to your opinion?
It's an open system, everyone. It can run on every...
That's what I'm saying. So therefore, yeah.
Everyone, all of us here.
Exactly. And also the energy, if somebody is interested to place electric power unit on the Moon, I don't have to do it if some other is interested in it. So
yeah, going back to the blockchain technology, one of the main reasons it was made, it was for inclusivity. So that could be also used in including the nations or parties that were not included beforehand. I think it would be also interesting to see how other nations or cultures perceive or see space exploration, and particularly how they view the Moon, because the Moon is perceived in different ways by different cultures, so it might be also an interesting way to look into. Another point I wanted to add, like the current generation we live in, like it would be useful to use like influencers for public outreach and engaging the public. But maybe something like also a reality TV show about the Moon, or I don't know, some kind of competition about the Moon Village or something like that to include everyone in.
Well, I will never say this or that is good or bad, because I'm not the master of the game and I'm not trying to be the master of the game. Of course, I have a certain range of vanity, but this I can do in my normal life. I don't need to go do it on the Moon.
We have quite a few ideas about monetizing the space in which we would need a Moon Village, and we've just heard some companies have actually put new rovers on the Moon with Suzuki down the side. And am I the only person that's worried about looking up at the Moon and seeing Samsung across it?
Any reaction on that, please?
Not a direct reaction, but to just put a little piece of optimism here, I always consider the Moon Village also as something political. You know, it appeals to politicians usually because they can hope, at least for some of them, that they could still be in function when they will see the Moon Village, and so they could get some electoral results. So I think we can count on some political push here. And when it comes to opportunities, for example, I wonder if, I'm not a space specialist, so going out of technical problems a bit, Moon is very important also for many religions. Don't you think some religions would be interested to have some kind of footprint on the Moon, and what should we think about it?
I think at that point it becomes maybe even also a little bit complicated, because in some cultures the Moon is has a bigger meaning, and we should be careful not to destroy a culture by that. This is for me important. I gave yesterday morning a short talk about, for instance, the Mayan history, where the Moon played a very important role, and I think also in China it has some special meaning, and it had some special meaning in the past. We should be careful with that, not to destroy cultures. That's for sure for me an aspect, yeah. But it can be used in a positive sense as well.
This is a very general question.
Wait, Philip, you will give me a sign when we have to, because we have still the presentation of the Moon Village Association, and we have afterwards for you a drink. So you give me a sign when I have to switch.
Okay. Yeah? Please look at me so that you don't cut the word, the question or the comment from the other one. So there first, and I'll give you a sign, Jan.
Okay.
This is a very general question to, I guess, the entirety of the room, do we just have a, I guess, approximate timeline, or really any idea when a sort of moon village will be established? I know the panel has previously said that it's going to be a very open, very long term.
Okay, I have the question back. When would you, what should happen that you believe the moon village is starting? What should happen? Is it the first stone on the moon? Is it the first mission which lands on the moon? Is it the first signed contract for something? Is it the first written declaration to do something? What is your point of view? When does a village starts to be a village on the moon?
I personally would think the first, I guess, longer duration stay of humans on the moon, whether...
Oh, this interpretation I cannot accept. I have to apologize, because I said robotics and humans, so it could be also only robotics. So, and I can tell you, if you ask for that, I'm sure that next year we will have the first missions to the moon under the umbrella, under the roof of Moon Village. So that can be, if necessary, defined as a starting point. And now we are in the planning phase of all of this, but again, I will not plan the Moon Village. It's just the mission. That's the timeline. And the first astronauts or cosmonauts or from different parts of the world, I think they will come back to the moon or close to the moon at the beginning of the next decade. So 3 to 5 years time.
The concept of empowering everyone to contribute ideas is an incredible thing that we're throwing on the table here. The hard bit is to go from concept and idea to decision and action. One of the things we do in the information technology industry is we look to a concept, we call it an epic, and then what we do is we agree a plan to implement that epic. We agree on it, we understand the rules of departing from that. We hold on to it, so we have strong opinions which are weakly held. When something doesn't work, we then fail fast. We iterate and we do it again, and we do it again. And over time, you build up mass where there are things that you can't retreat back from because they're structurally locked in. Other things you can continue to iterate and adapt and evolve. So I think one of the key things is we need to figure out how we determine the decision framework to go from concept to an action. And then we'll empower everyone in this room, everyone on the planet, and we'll have this amazing equivalent of civilization today, but on the moon.
Okay, my problem is plan would never be the right next step for me. That was my problem when I was thinking about it, and therefore I defined this open concept wording. If you have a better wording in order to avoid the understanding that it's just an idea and nothing more, then please give me a good hint. It is much more than an idea. It is something which will be realized. It is already clear it will be realized. There is no question at all. Now it's only the question how to do it and who is participating actively. So if you have a better wording instead of open concept, which you believe is also better for communication, please give it. But plan would be the wrong one, because plan means regulation, 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 and I don't like it.
Sorry, I didn't mean about the concept. I think the concept is perfect. I think the concept is perfect. After that, when we're on the moon, and then we have to decide between do we build left, do we build right, what do we do next with the resource that we have? How do we make those decisions? For me, that's the question. The concept is perfect.
But the wording is maybe also not perfect.
Now
it should, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's from throwing ideas to throwing the box. Who in the front wants to have the box?
Oh, hi. Okay, so g'day. This is more of a response to the first comment that was given in regards to the Antarctica Treaties. This is more of a political thing. How's this for an idea? So, will everyone still retain their nationality when they're on that moon village, or will we have a neutral sort of moon village?
Okay, how far are we on the Earth? I was in a country in this summer. And what I did is, when I left the country, at the border, they asked me about my nationality. And I said, I'm European. And he said, no, I want to have your nationality. And I said, yes, it's European. And I can tell you, we are far away from that. And as it was said earlier, we are even driving a little bit back. So there should be no nationality on the moon. Because as soon as we put nationality, then we have fences, then we have customs control and all of this stuff. And I think this would totally disturb what I think should be done. It should be a joint effort of each and everyone, not restricting who is allowed to participate, which passport or whatever. I know this is difficult for some countries, but if they cannot join it because of some national thinking, then of course they cannot join, fine. But I don't think about the nationality. I have still a passport from a country in Europe, yes.
I suspect there's a cheese, Swiss cheese over there, but there's a question here for Mark.
Hi. My interest is the sociology of this whole project, and I guess I'm really inspired by the idea that when people have previously colonized or gone to a new place, they've created new ideas which have then influenced people where they came from. And I guess this is less about how to do it, and more that the implications of what we're talking about here is that what happens on the moon, I mean, if we look at the way people responded to Apollo and how that changed things back here, imagine about these ideas such as these breaking the box around nationality and money and all these ideas, how that will then influence all the nations of the world.
Might be through.
Thank you.
I'd like to offer two remarks. One is bad news and the other is good news. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter observed more than 200 new craters in its first 7 years of operation. Some of those were several meters in diameter. Such an impact, of course, would be devastating to the Moon Village. So under the heading up here of possible threats, there's a known threat that you need to think about and deal with. Now, under opportunities, the Moon Village presents a wonderful opportunity that hasn't been discussed very much to provide a great archive on the moon backing up the knowledge and wisdom of humans on the Earth, so that if we get hit here, we'll have a safe store of information with which to recover. Thank you.
So the first part of the question I can even answer. That's not so difficult because there is already a study in ESA how to build shelters using the regolith for in 3D printing to build shelters for humans who are on the moon. Again, if we go to Mars later on, we need it as well. So radiation and all of this. And you're right. Planetary defense is an important aspect. I had this in my previous presentation as one of the things we can do from the moon and on the moon.
So fundamentally, I'm up here. I'm next. Sorry about that. Sir, up here in the corner, one of the...
Talk, I hear you.
Yeah, okay. The lady in the flowery dress brought a really good point. And I think that her comments were very valid. How does ESA see the assumptions, the fundamental assumptions of the Moon Village? Everywhere I've looked, it is not very clear of the fundamental assumptions to create that community. Anywhere else on Earth that you create a community, there's some fundamental assumptions of security, basic needs, wellness, that then stabilize that community, that village. So do you have anywhere written what are those assumptions? Because every comment that's being brought out here is because the assumptions of what you're bringing to the table are not absolutely clear to be able to define how the Moon Village works for that individual or for that nation or for that private company.
This is, again, a typical earthly question. Because we are always, in our today's life, we are faced with these legal situations. And you cannot ask ESA and cannot blame ESA for that. I take it on my own. that I say we need a total disruptive solution for space in the future. We should at least try to do it. And a village is not defined by a government first, that the government writes down what are the legal restrictions. I mean, a village in the past was founded by some people, 2, 3, 4. And therefore, as was said earlier, maybe we need some, because of...
but then you flip that on its head. That's the point. It flips on its head. And then you say, how do I get more people to play? But you have to get them to play by giving them a set of initial assumptions that individuals can make a decision to commit to the Moon Village. You can't have it both ways.
But there is no master of disaster who can decide this.
Right, but you start to play by giving the assumptions so people can make a decision. And that decision to commit to the Moon Village, whether it's a private company that is inspired to get there, or a media company that wants to portray their own version of it. Those assumptions are absolutely critical to any societal village development, even if it's from a private citizen or from whomever that is. I just think this is incredibly valuable, and I think what's short to make this machine move is the set of assumptions that start to play so that others can make decisions.
Okay.
This is great.
If you are really convinced about that, then your contribution to the Moon Village idea could be to do it.
I am. I'll send you an 11-page paper on it.
Good. Yes, go ahead.
And I can tell you he has energy. Okay. I'd like to suggest that if you would like to, you could start the Moon Village now, globally, by using virtual worlds. Not necessarily Second Life, but that is one of them, where you can build the community, connect globally, chat, and make models of what you want to build on the moon, and remake them and refine it, and then do the interior decorating of the kind of house you would like on the moon. You can do it now, and by doing it now in the virtual world setting, you can drive the momentum, increase the number of people who will actually do it. You'll end up with thousands of people involved. You'll have a very big village this way, I think.
It's a great idea to make something like a concurrent design facility on a global scale.
Okay, Maya, up there first.
Right,
hi everyone. So my question is, actually my understanding is that the motivation for creating the Moon Village is to further our exploration of the unknown. The same motivation is what led us to explore countries like America and Australia. However, it doesn't seem like we're fixing the main problem at hand, in my opinion. This problem is getting worse, in my opinion, and it stems from lack of empathy. Some say that going to the moon would unite us as a globe and increase collaboration. I would like to know whether this idea is being explored to increase collaboration between nations.
That's not a question. Or is it?
Something I'm wondering.
Yeah, wondering is a good basis to be inspired and motivated for the future. No, you should really, I'm really fighting like hell that we together, and not asking others to do it, but that we together, each and everyone, is developing the future. I mean, my future is limited, but I'm ready to help.
Hi, you've spoken about how you're very interested in having sort of both public and private. Did you guys have any sort of, and this is I guess open to everyone here, was there any sort of industry you guys particularly really wanted? There was a talk earlier today about mining on the moon. Would you like to see mining being worked into the Moon Village, or mostly research? Because if it is a village, it does make sense for it to have, I guess, a purpose that's not just, hey, we went to the moon, and give it some sort of way to sustain itself and entice more and more people in.
There are activities already concerning mining on the moon. The question comes back to the question we had earlier, how far are we allowed to go? What should be the limitations for that? So for instance, using water, hydrogen and oxygen, it's also some sort of mining. Then there are some ideas, especially from China, I heard it, using, trying to get the helium-3 from the moon. That's a question of this is really a business case. Philip, again, I ask you concerning time, I think.
We're going to take one two more questions and then we can interrupt for the presentation. So this gentleman, there's one standing up there and the one with the box. So these three questions quickly and then we take we hand over to Max.
Okay. So I actually want to add on to that question we just had, because we're talking about corporations also going to the moon. From what I understand is that there should be a need for them to go to the moon. So is there a need, and if there is, should we provide them with a need, or should we provide them with some reason to go to the moon? This is sort of a general question to everyone.
No. For my, we should not convince people you have to go to the moon. I mean, I'm not a travel agency. Huh? That's not my perspective. My position is the other way around. If there is an interest and a certain purpose to go to the moon, and that might be in the future also tourism, then maybe we can make the broker function. But we should not artificially inspire people artificially that you have to go to the moon, otherwise you are dead or whatever. This is not the right solution. But I think there are enough reasons to go to the moon, and therefore I think this is sufficient. But maybe there are different opinions from others.
But are there really enough reasons to go to the moon?
Yes, there are. The moon is, as I said, always the moon was most probably developed through an impact of another celestial body to the Earth. So the moon is something like the archive of these times. So moon science is one point. As I said earlier, also to make on the far side of the moon an observatory also for planetary defense of the Earth. It's a reason. To use it as a stepping stone to go beyond, which is a clear plan for exploration, and it's also a reason. And there is a full catalogue of reasons, but I will not go for that and say now we have to go to the moon because of. I'm just saying there are so many interests, why not putting them together in a coordinated global way, and we call that Moon Village. It's difficult to understand, but it's that way, it's not the other way around.
Okay, thank you. I just want to give some further comments about the previous question because it is so important. That girl raised a question, how useful the Moon Village is for the countries outside the space-capable nations. So, you know that I love the words Tom Cruise said in the movie Interstellar. You may remember that. Someone said the Apollo program is useless, but Tom Cruise replies that without the Apollo program, there will be no MRI. And even if we have one of these machines, my wife will not die. So I think in the future, the Moon Village will be more important for the human hand. At least to my personal view, the Moon Village can be the outpost of human being for the exploration and the exploitation of the whole solar system. You know that we can find water on the moon in polar regions, and also with this we can make propellants, and also with this we can have long-term stay on the moon. And also, in the future, I think this can benefit not only those countries like China, US, Russia, or Europe. We've already established an organization called the Moon Village Association. It has just been established in June in Torino. So in the future, our goal is to set up the Moon Village Global Network, so that the whole society can benefit from that. And also Max is also our founding member. Thank you.
Okay, last question or comment or whatever it is.
It's working. Oh, perfect. Google's Lunar X Prize, I think it's an excellent instrument to foster innovation and to give startups a stage to demonstrate their capabilities. The next step from my point of view could be an Israel demonstration, and a couple of days ago I learned that ESA is basically going in the very same direction, and I asked myself to which extent startups are involved in that sort of activity, because from my point of view this is something what could be done in the next couple of years also by startups, and it could be also a content of a future Google Prize or of a competition sponsored by ESA, because in the end any kind of village will need fuel, oxygen, water, electricity, all the basic needs, and I wonder why ESA is kind of sticking to this maybe classical business model, doing things by themselves rather than leaving space, more easier tasks to new entrepreneurs and focusing more maybe on the real hard stuff or serving as an anchor customer.
So maybe, you see, this jam session was not to promote ESA. This was not the purpose. Of course, I could talk now about the announcement of opportunity, which maybe you have seen in the internet. We are having exactly what you are saying. We are now offering also, we are asking for having ideas where we do not produce the transportation means, but we may buy it if there is enough interest to bring something. So this open, we are trying to change ESA also in this way to use new methods for small and medium-sized enterprise as well as for the big ones to combine them. But with that, I will finish right now, and we will now give Max the possibility to talk about the Moon Village Association, an organization which was founded in order also to go ahead, and so please.
Thank you. First of all, I know that there are some members of the association here, so how much are there? 4, 5? Okay. I hope that at the end of the session there will be quite more. So, as was presented, the Moon Village is an open concept, which means for us a high diversity of actors, interest and objectives, means and resources, missions, and business and operations model. And from that, we feel that the Moon Village should get really, really far beyond the usual space club. And so that's why, and the thing was a bit addressed before, we consider that we need to raise a wave of support, and a wave of support at the level of the civil society, and not only the decision makers. And we will have also to generate a lot of debates, discussion. We've seen today that there are a lot of questions, maybe contradiction in terms of interest, questions about regulation or not regulation, and all that has to be discussed in a very flexible, neutral, and open frame. So that's why we aim at implementing Moon Village Global Network, which would be a virtual network that would be the place to discuss all that things. And we've built a specific legal organization which will be there only to coordinate the network and also to represent that network towards decision makers or other official organization, and that's the Moon Village Association. So where are we? We have a very simple mission statement, which is to provide a forum for the development of the Moon Village, and that forum is really open to everybody from the space community, but also from the non-space civil society. We are registering the organization. We have about 50 members. We have a website, and the first newsletter was distributed. So we have a short-term action plan in order to make it a reality, because it's a very recent and younger organization. We intend to create national and regional networks to be the nodes of that network in order to have in each country, depending on the culture, the good way of interacting with civil society. We intend to work through this forum and debates on shared architecture, but also cultural concept for the Moon Village. We intend to organize dedicated events beyond the virtual network in order to have people gathering and discussing. And one important part, because for any adventure like this, we will need money, so we have to invent new ways of raise money, investing instruments, and so on. And one important part of our action, as I said at the beginning, is really to go beyond the space community. So we would like to find some kind of partnership with non-space, non-governmental organization. So our first important milestone is